All right, I am back. Sorry about that. I don't know. People were telling me that the stream had broken. So now let's see if I can get this all back up and running. All right. Well, I guess I lost everyone who was watching. Ugh. Now this isn't... Select live sources. Well, now I can't see my chats for... What is going on with YouTube? Oh, there we go. All right, not a short. All right, I don't know. I'm back. I restarted the stream. Let's see if that fixes things. Sorry about that. It's not a... It wouldn't be a fun streaming day if I didn't have lots of technical errors. I'm looking at... It's weird. I'm looking at my YouTube preview on my other computer, and it keeps dying. But Twitch is going. All right. I'm not sure what's going on there, but let's get back to some business, and hopefully this just works. All right, so what I want to do is I want to change the way that the tile map editor works. And we're going to see if Claude can do this for us. I want to refactor my tile map editor and patterns. To start, I want the tile map editor paint editor. Let's see. To start, I want the tile map cut up into 4x4 chunks, and each chunk will be 5x2 like before. I want to now limit the ability to paint platforms, so you can only do it on every other row. The first row to start painting will be at where's my Game Boy Studio? All right, so we're gonna start it here, I think. Actually, we're gonna start it here, because this gives us two tiles for the exit. All right, so we're starting on row, what is this, row 12. Will be 12, and and you can only draw platforms on rows. Let's just be very explicit with it. So we're starting at 12, right? 14. We're gonna do, wait, just trying to do the math off the top of my head. 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. I think I need to do this in reverse. 19, 17, 15, 13. Well, then that gives us back to 5, and I don't want to do that. Where was, let me go back to my, let's go back here and see what I was breaking this down to. So I was starting here, which moves this down one. So it should be this row, these three first rows go away. So 1, 2, 3. And then here, which is row 12. Oh, I see what I was doing wrong. because I redid the platforms. Oh, what is the? Oh, sorry, I saw your question. What is the platform width of the level? You mean how big of a platform can you create? I think I want to limit it by 8. Let's do this. I'm trying to just figure out here because I think I might have screwed up. Because technically, if we move this up here, the thing that I'm getting sort of mixed up about is that I'm trying to figure out where I want. Where's my... I was trying to decide whether I wanted the patterns to be at the bottom. I think I want the patterns to be at the bottom. So that means that we really want to start up here so that we can draw here. So that's one. So that means that we're always going to have... Where's my... Let's go back into the game and see how this works. It means that we're always going to have a... yes, let's go technical. I built HBO.com a long time ago, along with a bunch of other developers, but back when it was in Flash, the good old days. All right, let's see here. So that was the first. I think this is 12 right here. Yeah. So the reason why I'm trying to figure this out right now like this is that if I can reduce the patterns to 4, I can actually reduce the code down to 16 characters to share a level. If I did it as 5, it would have to be 20. So this is 4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And that only gives me 4 more characters for enemies and stuff, so that's not going to work. Sorry, we're gonna. I guess these are going to be the limitations. You won't be able to make a platform. You won't be able to make a platform lower than this. Let me see if we do it here. What that does. This puts the exit right here, and then we always have a. We do that here. Yeah, I really want 5. Man, that sucks. What are my thoughts about the current web dev? I don't know. I use React. So most of the stuff I've been doing now has just been vibe coding. So I don't even really think about what the framework is. I just let the AI do it, and then I just jump in when I need to. All right, so we come back here. Let me make a new layer. And we'll put this down here. And I'm just going to mock this up real quick. So here, 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 and here. These are the places where it's valid to draw. Oops, just trying to get rid of some of this other stuff. Yeah, it looks a little empty. Well, you know what? Let's just do something, because sitting around here and thinking about it over and over again isn't going to really going to get us very far. So I think what I'll do is this. I'm going to start from the bottom here, and if I decide that I want to add one more, and I come up with a better way of compressing the enemies, then I will I'll come back and I can always add a row up, but I'd rather go from the bottom up. So that means that our start position is going to be right here. So if we look at the Game Boy game, let me actually close the Game Boy game real quick. So we're starting at the bottom. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, right here. So we're going to start at 12. All right. all that for nothing. Your question was, what are my thoughts on AI taking the job? I assume you mean taking web developers' jobs. Based on what I have been trying to build right now with all these AI tools, I'm not terribly concerned about it. I think web jobs have gone to sort of shit in the past decade and a half anyways. It was always a race to the bottom for how much you got paid. But I think using the AI as a tool will help a lot. I don't know if it's going to be replacing developers' jobs. You'll see how bad this thing gets. The first row to start painting will be 12, and you can only draw platforms on rows 12. Well, we'll do it this way. Rows 13, 15. The first, let's see, the first chunk will be at row 12, and all the new platform patterns will only support platforms at the bottom. Platforms on the second row. That means you can only draw platforms on rows 13, 15, 17, and 19. Let me just confirm that now with this. So if this is our first platform, this is 19, 17, 15, and 13, 12 being our start position. I will give you new patterns. Wait, you know what? I'm giving you way too much information. Let's take one step back here. Why did I choose the Game Boy? So I've done a lot of Unity. I built my own game engine for about like 8 years, and I've always wanted to build a real Game Boy game. So that's sort of what I am. And there's a Game Boy game jam going on right now. So I figured I would do that, and I thought this would be a quick 7-day project. And on day 11, I'm still working on it, but I'm very, very, very close. I want to refactor my tile map editor into and pattern matching. To start, I want the tile map cut up into 4x4 chunks, and each chunk will be 5 by 12 like before. Let me just delete this. The first chunk will be at, where's 12 to 12? At 212. I want you to limit the paint tool so that it will only allow platforms to be drawn on rows 13, 15, 17, and 19. And we'll come up with something else to limit how we preview this, but let's just see what it does now. It's like a lot of overthinking for something that can just be, that hopefully shouldn't take too long. And while that goes on, I'm just going to check my messages real quick because I can already see. All right. So while it figures this out, what we're also going to do is I'm going to come in here and we're going to also provide it with these new patterns to simplify things. But first, let's see what it comes up with. Let me continue the changes. And let's see if what else is going to change. Looks like a lot of this is in the code gen, but it needs to modify this stuff in the paint as well. I'm hoping it works its way over there. Yes, okay. Now I need to update the paint. See, it read my mind. And while that happens, I'm good with these patterns. I want to... I'm just trying to think of like what I want to do character-wise, since we'll be able to reduce this a lot. But let me... I guess before I jump into these characters, let me verify or validate that this will actually work. You also need to update the header file to include the new function prototype. All right. Now it should be able. It's trying to update some of this logic I have in there for whether you can draw a valid platform or not. But it should be able to simplify some of this because we won't have to worry about them stacking on top of each other. So I might go in and tell it to clean that up. All right. It's actually being pretty thorough. I mean, it's trying to change a lot of stuff, so I'm not sure. Kobo's been working on this problem for a while. Continue to iterate, or you can send new messages to refine your prompt. Let's continue and see what it does. I think it got confused with the with where the player goes. So paint restriction. All right, let's keep this, and we'll run it, and then we'll see what damage it has done. There's probably a better chance that this is not going to compile. But the code's been pretty modular. Nope, I lied. It couldn't compile. Whoops. I didn't mean to close that. Let's see if we can figure out its error. It's something to do with the way that it messed up the tokens and the columns, it looks like, or added some sort of semicolon where it shouldn't have. All right. This isn't much fun. I was hoping to have this do some of this more complicated stuff just to speed things up, but very correct. All right, just give me the code. I think this is more of a problem on my end where I told it to do like a really big sweeping refactoring when it probably should have I should have just done it piece by piece. All right. Let's keep these changes and rebuild. All right. Well, it compiled. Now let's see where I can... Okay. Hey, I think this is actually... Look at this. This might actually work. I like how it broke up my debug code. All right, well, this actually is working. Look at this. All right, so now we can only make platforms on alternating rows. This map would be a terrible map to play on. We can't do anything there, so... I wonder if this is happening because it's tracking... I think there's I have a limit in here for how long a platform can be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, it won't make a platform there. But it'll let me join these platforms up. Okay. All right. This is working. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Git add all, git status, git commit, refactoring, paint tool to use for columns, or sorry, use 4 by 4 chunks. All right, so we've saved that. Now, I want to fix this problem. Although, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I might actually just defer this to an issue. Platform length issue. The code to limit the length of a platform is broken. If you keep drawing a platform, it ends the platform. Oh my God, at 8, but it doesn't add a space between the old platform, so they are still connected. All right, we'll just use this image. This is not an enhancement. Wait, what the hell just happened? Create a new issue. Bug. Create. All right. Did I have... I'm just looking at some of these other things. Need to fix exit generation, fix platform logic, no diagonal touching. I think technically this fixes it now. Tile pattern errors. I fixed this. Need a switch mode from code to painting. We'll need to do this. Need a way to place enemies via code. Need to save player start column. All right, we'll do that later. Let's mark these things as completed. What we can do now Every day, this is a reminder that I forgot to put my bot in to fix these spams. Of course, this would be something you'd have to create manually rather than automatically generate. Was this? I'm sort of looking back at the comments here. I'm now in a loop trying to think of ways to shorten the level code. This pattern next time. Wait, sorry. Were you commenting on something you saw it doing, or you were thinking about the problem too? Let's do this now. Let's bring over the new patterns and see how this works. All right. For the array, these 5x2 patterns have the platform at the second row and should line up with the alternating platform paint logic. This one I'm scared of because this took me a while yesterday to get working. Technically, all it's doing is reducing the platform patterns that I had from yesterday. All this stuff is it in here? Yeah, these are all the patterns. But this is going to simplify this considerably right now, especially because now we only have 20 unique patterns versus 54, I think, from yesterday. What did we have before? 56. So that means that it's going to be a lot more. It'll be less characters you have to enter, or at least loop through, in order to enter a code. While this finishes this, I need to take a quick break. I need to go grab a snack, change my desk, and get a little bit extra water. I'm going to go on a break. I will be back, and then we will continue to build out this tile map editor for my Game Boy game. All right, I'm back. Oh no, it's doing the sound thing again. I don't understand why it does this. Hold on 1 second. When I go to this screen, everything is fine, but when I switch to this screen, the sound gets all garbled. Ugh, whatever. I'll just leave it as is, and I'll come back and try to play some sound later. All right. So I was looking at your comments while I was shoving peanuts in my mouth. And yeah, I'm trying to understand. Think about the problem. The instance with pattern 5 squares wide, you have 32 combinations. If you make J create equal, then 3J would put that on the map 3 times. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying. Are you proposing sort of like a compression algorithm, like how zip files work? I'm going to accept these changes and see if this works. Let's do this. I mean, I've gone through so many iterations in my head about how to make this work. Let's see if we can now paint and if the tiles. All right, so it is updating. So here comes the fun part. Excuse me. Let's validate that these work according to, oh my God, there's a fly in here. Stop. Go away. Let's validate these according to the patterns I've defined and make sure that we're getting the same numbers. So I'm going to start here because this is the start position. This is the start row. This is technically row 12. And I'm just trying to close my door a little bit better, which is not cooperating. There we go. All right. So this is start 12, and then down here, which is 13, which is where we can draw patterns. And you can see that I have this sort of like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it's actually in 0. Oh, cool. I did this in, I reversed this. More compressed method, and instead of it being level equal code, it prints the level with a pen. Well, it will print the level. It will paint the level. I think what you're talking about is trying to find out repeating patterns. And the issue is that it's not easy to place the pattern somewhere. And there's nothing, I don't know how much more I can optimize this. It would be possible one of those weirdos that comes up with the oddest ways of doing things that somehow work. Yeah, this is just a tricky one. All right, let's start by testing this out. I want to start with, we're going to test it out over here. You're just going to have to follow me for a little bit because this is a little bit complicated, because technically this right here is the block. The reason I'm doing it here and not over here is because I wanted to test this one. And I'm already seeing that this is coming back as 2. And this is coming back as 1. So these two are reversed. That's not a good way to start this off. This is 4. And now we have a problem. No, okay. All right, we're fine because this is outside of there. So now here to here should be 6. So that means that 5 is here. All right, it has flipped these somehow. So let me just tell it. I think the patterns are flipped. For example, pattern 1 is 2 and 2 is 1. Can you swap the pairs out? I just want to make sure that there's something here that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11. So 11, 14, 19, 20. I'm just going to write these down. 11, 14, 19, 20. Basically what happens is that these patterns are the same when they're mirrored. So they don't get they only get one ID. So what I need to do is when I tell it to flip it, I just need to say, okay, except for these patterns. What would actually be better is we need to swap 2 to 1, 1 to 2, 4 to 3, 3 to 4. This is a little bit more convoluted, but I want it to be very explicit with the AI. What am I doing? I can just do this myself, I think. Why did it add these comments? All right, I'm just going to tell it what to do because this is, I don't know what it did there. 3 to 4, 6 to 5, 8, whoops, and then 5 to 6, 8 to 7, 7 to 8, 10 to 9. Let's see if the music wants to play again. All right, looks like it's fixed the sound issue. And then 9 to 10. 11 is the same. 13 to 12. And 12 to 13. I want to see something real quick and how it's doing this. Because if I look at this pattern, no, these patterns were in the right order. Why did it mess this up? 13, 14 is the same. 16 to 15 and 15 to 16. 18 to 17 and 17 to 18, but I think that's it. All right, let's see if we can do it this way. If not, I'll just go in and figure out a better way of manually. These are the changes. Leave the single non-mirrored patterns where they are. All right, let's see if we can flip this around. Oh, you have brain damage, or are you just being facetious? I understand you want to split the pairs. Let me update the patterns by swapping specific pairs. All right, and then once we fix this, then we should be good to go for enemies. My only concern here is that I don't want you to be able to add an enemy here, technically between two rows, because it would be impossible to kill that enemy. And I'm not sure how I want to handle validating that a level is accurate. My only other concern is that doing this here, well, I guess it gives you enough gap. There's so many like weird little brain damage makes language processing frustrating. It says, yeah, I can relate. I was in a car accident in 2023 and I had a very bad concussion, and it took me almost a year to recover, and I lost a bunch of cognitive abilities, namely the one that I use the most in programming, which is counting numbers backwards for binary math, which I used to be able to do off the top of my head. I can do it better now, but it was scary at first. Let's keep this, and let's rerun this game, and let's see if this fixes the pattern problem. So the biggest challenge really comes down to in order to compress it the way that you're suggesting, I would need a lot more data in the compression than I would just doing it like this. I could assign each quadrant a number and then assign that number to a pattern. But then what's going to wind up happening is because there are, what are there, 24 patterns? That is 2 bytes. And then each one would have another bit. So you'd have, for each quadrant, you still need 2 bytes. You need one to know what the unique ID was for the quadrant, and then you need to know the pattern. So that would be 2, 4. Well, wait, let me see this real quick. It would be where did I put that? Where did I put my thing? This would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So we're already past the what it would be if we just did each one directly. The alternative would be that if you had all the unique patterns and you basically said this one pattern is here, 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 and here, that could compress it, but the algorithm to compress something, especially like a zip file, it only works when there's a lot of repetition, and you can basically create a pointer back to another thing and go and like piece it all back together. Because this is so, there's so little information, it actually would compress really poorly. And you could sort of see that, like, if you ever try to zip a image, it doesn't really compress well because there's only so much you can compress. That's why each image has its own sort of compression algorithm. And we would just not be able to get a good compression. The only place we would compress very well was if you'd say, okay, there's only one pattern and you drew the same pattern everywhere, then you'd be able to do that, but it would be a lot. So, well, we'll just continue down this path. Sometimes when I get these things actually working, a better solution presents itself, but right now I'm not seeing one, and I've spent I want to say like 2 weeks trying to figure this out now. So, but I appreciate any other suggestions. All right, so this should now give us 1. So here's what you want to watch at home. Whoops, my screen just went black for a second. This slot right here, so 0, 0 is the first one, 0, 1 is the second quadrant, right? So if you're looking here, this is quadrant, the first 2 zeros, this is the second 2 characters, which is 1. And the reason why we're getting 1 is because this pattern 1 is when there is 1 tile at the bottom right in its quadrant. And since we're splitting this quadrant right here, technically this quadrant, which is the second quadrant, only has 1 tile inside of it. So if we deleted this, went over here to the other edge, this should give us 2, and you can see the other one now turns to 1 because we've split this quadrant here, and we're now putting 1 platform here and 1 platform here. All right, so let's go through the rest of these patterns and just make sure they work. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ah, look at you. You are not registering correctly. So pattern 9 is not being matched. All right, let's take some notes. Pattern 9 is not getting matched. Let's try it on the other side. So pattern 10 would be this and this. Okay, so 10 is coming up. 10 should be 9. I have a feeling I'm just going to tell it to redo all this stuff because it's just, I think it made a mess of it. Let's just see what other patterns are good. So this is, now this is coming up as 10. Okay, I think it's missing pattern 9. Here, hold on a second. Let's just do it this way. Then everything is off by 1 from there. Can you redo the array and match these pattern slash UID in the correct order? Is the level code going to be a max 32 characters? Yes. What did I have up here? 8, 16, 32. Yeah, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 4. No, 6 times 4. Yeah, it's going to be 24. The maximum A level will be 24 characters, and if my math is correct here with the patterns. Oh no, wait. Because now we're limiting this to 4 by 4. That means that 16 patterns are going to be used for the 16 patterns will be used for the level, and the rest of it will be for enemies and other items that go into the level. All right, let's keep these changes and let's redo this and see if this works now. This is sort of the hole I was falling down yesterday. It was just getting so complicated when you had 56 patterns to match. I eventually got it in the end, but I made a stupid mistake and I had like 46, the character 46 twice in my tile map, and I kept thinking there was an issue with the array. Let's open up this and come back here. So we're going to start this over again. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the moment of truth. 9. 10. 11. 12. I forgot to test for 13. 13. Uh, 14. 15. 16. 16. How did we jump? Okay, here we go. 16. 17. 18. And then these patterns are easy. This is 19 and 20. All right. Yep. All right. All the patterns are now being accounted for, which means that anything I put in here should return, any way that I draw in this box should always return a number. And the maximum number we're going to have is going to be C1 in hex. Well, I mean, it's like roughly hex. It's going to be C is the hex value. And then 0, 1 is the flip, but that's more for the binary stuff. It doesn't really matter. Is this the max? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So our level code works now. 1, 2, 3, 4. One thing I'm confused about is why... Okay, I see what's going on. Wait, why is this not registering down here? Where, let's do this. We're going to make, I'm going to make every tile basically, value 20. It's going to be a little hard because I'm going to have to use this bug. Oops, that's not going to work because that's there. This is such a stupid bug. I think I know what's causing this bug. But what we can see is that we have 20, 20, 20. Oh, I know why this pattern isn't matching. Because I can't delete this right now. Because it's off. It's off. Let's go in and do this. In the tile map, let's move you, you, and you. We should be here. 1, 2, 3, 4. The maximum that we're going to be able to get, I think, is this. Whoops. Let's fill and save. And now back here. We'll rerun this. We'll see if we can. We should be able to now delete that platform where the enemy is. Oh, I'm seeing all kinds of weird corruption now. I wonder what's going on with that. I don't know what is getting corrupted here. Maybe didn't fix this correctly. Reload the asset. Oh, I made a black mark there. You can't, it wasn't really that easy to see. That's what it was. All right. And then I also want to fix these meta tiles because I don't need this anymore. All we really need are going to be, whoops. All we're going to need is about this amount right now. Technically, we don't even need, I think we only need up to 20, but that's fine. We're going to leave it like this. We'll save this. We are also going to export as a, is it tile set, background, meta tiles. Yes, and export. So now I noticed a weird corruption that was happening on the menu that popped up, and I'm wondering if it's just I put too many of these things in the memory. So let's do one other thing here. We need to fix these palettes because they're off. And I'm hoping that this fixes the memory leak into the menu that I saw where sprites were rendering into the menu. If not, I think I got a bigger problem, which I'm not looking forward to sort of fixing. All right, there we go. It was leaking into that area. So, all right, so now we are good to go. And this is our last platform. And as you can see, we now have 20. Perfect. All right. Everything is working how it should. Random thought. By inverting them instead of flipping, 3 of them are symmetrical. What do you mean inverting them, by the way? I did think about could I split them and then mirror them that way, but I think part of the problem at this point is that I'm splitting hairs. Like I spent most of the time developing this game just trying to figure out this pattern code stuff, and I am fine with, I think the way that I've reduced it now is enough. I think the only way that I would really sit down and think through this more would be in order to come up with a way to add more things, but I don't want to, I'm not ready to cross that bridge. If I had it more like free-for-all where you could just paint whatever you want, then I really would push harder for how to optimize this. And this way I can get more, but there may be other ways. There's a whole bunch of like binary stuff I haven't even gotten into yet. This is just sort of the simplest way. I'm also trying to be cognizant of the fact that the Game Boy can only process so much. So I'm really asking it to do more than it really wants to at the moment, especially with it trying to match all these patterns. Like the more patterns we have, the slower it gets at matching them. Git status, git add all, git commit m reducing pattern counts. Clear. Okay. So now that we've done this, I want to add in the ability to draw enemies. I want the ability to paint enemies to the map. Enemies can only be added above a platform and painting, and the first paint should use tile. This is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Oh my God, stop that. Should use meta tile 22, enemy right, and pressing a second time, we'll use meta tile 23, enemy left, and pressing a third time will delete the tile. There is also enemies need at least one tile between each other, and there are only 6 enemies that can be added to a level. All right, let's see if I could do this. I was having some performance issues with the 6 enemies. I think I have to go back to a different approach where on the main loop of the game, it goes through and updates it. But I actually think I'm going to move more of my logic over into C. The visual coding stuff is just, it's too slow. Why is it messing with this? It messed up something here, but we'll let it do its thing and then we'll go back and correct it. So now the goal is that we want to be able to draw enemies to the screen, and I already have the basic functionality of that in place where it looks at the tile, and based on the direction of the tile, that's how it's going to move the or set the direction for the enemy. Different paint modes. Let me add these. Interesting. So outside of that, the only other things that need to happen is that I need to add the ability to draw the player. So if we're up on this line, that's where we're going to put a player tile. And then from there, we want it to be whenever we place a player tile, it automatically will move the exit to that position. Now I need to update the paint header file to include the new function prototype. All right. Still doing his thing. All right. We'll keep all these changes and see what happened. I don't know why this enemy knew. Wait, why are you using enemy new? There is no such tile. Oh, you know what I think it's doing? I think it's giving us... You're absolutely right. I apologize for the confusion. I was creating a non-existent tile. Okay. Thank you. Remove that. Now I need to update the utilities. Fine. Hmm. I'm getting a call that I have to take. I will be right back. Let me take a quick break and answer this call. All right, sorry about that. Oh, cool. My music's going to be messed up for a little bit. Let me just check up. I just saw some comments were coming in. Yeah, it is splitting hairs. This is a very limited environment. All right, let's see if this change fixes this. And now I want to see if we're able to. Now I want to see if we're able to actually draw enemies. So the way I would have approached it, I'm not sure how the AI did. I didn't really look at the code. Is that I would have just said like, okay, on every other row, you should be able to draw an enemy. Those would be the even rows. And as long as there is a platform below it, you'd be able to draw an enemy. And as long as there's nothing next to it, excuse me, as long as there's nothing next to it, then you'd be able to draw the enemy as well. It is taking a little bit of time. I'm hoping it doesn't crash or throw an error like it does. Okay. I've seen this error before. It's like a token error, so it probably just put a character in the wrong place. Let's see if this addresses the problem. Yeah, an extra closing brace. There we go. Music is playing again. So I'm looking at, I'm going to do the stream for like another hour. I think in the next hour, this should give us enough time to, I think all the pieces are in place right now. It really is just me moving them and cleaning things up. Because at this point, once we're able to draw enemies, once we're able to draw the enemies, then I just need to do the player, the level exit, and then that the painting tool should be done. Then it's just a matter of how do I take that code and one, save it into memory so that when you're done editing, it just reloads the code and then redraws itself. Some of that stuff is already basically in there. And then the other is how do you, and then the other would be how do I just need to add some sort of like way of inputting the code. All right, let's keep these changes, rebuild this, and let's see. I have a very sort of short week because I have to have a medical procedure on Wednesday and I have to prepare for it all afternoon tomorrow. So I don't have a lot of time to code this week, which is unfortunate, but by Thursday I should be fine. All right, so let's do this. We're gonna put a platform down and then we should be able to draw an enemy, but it is not letting me draw an enemy anywhere. Okay, so not able to an enemy to the tile map. Is the logic correctly wired up? So I'm sort of thinking through how I should have done this a better way. What I really should have done is told it that I can paint an enemy anywhere there is an open sky above another platform. And then I should have just done it piece by piece by adding the rules in. I think I gave it too many rules, so not sure how it's going to handle this. Has platform which is checking why, but our new system where platforms can only be rows and enemies on row 12, which is below 13, which would be looking for a platform on row 13. However, there's a more fundamental issue. Let me check the values. I see the issue. Enemy painting logic has several problems. Of course it does, because I let you do it for me. The bound checking is wrong. We need to allow enemies on the rows above platform rows. Yes, that was sort of the spec. And the platform below check is correct, but the bounds are restrictive. All right. Hopefully it's identified this and we can get this fixed. Let's see. Come on. We can do this. I'm like putting way too much faith into this right now. I wonder if my debug code still works. So I had some debug code that would allow me to, if I hit B while I was in the tile map edit mode, it would print the patterns into the map for me. So let me go to edit, Yeah. So here it's letting me go through and iterating through all of the patterns. And the reason why this is important that it still works is that it means that I'll be able to, if the logic, all I need to do now is where that character is getting entered. All I have to do is just create the logic for entering in a new character, and then I have the basic logic now for painting a level. Perhaps an impossible enemy in a tunnel should check every step if it has an open space above it, and if it isn't allowed to walk off the edge. Yeah, that I might have to do some testing like that too. So the impetus for creating more stringent rules around making sure that you can only paint things at the right position is that I want it to be that when I start, I want to do some sort of random level generation too. And when you do the random level generation, these rules will keep it in check so it can't do something stupid. But the level random generation stuff is going to be like a whole other world. Basically from there, I'm just going to have it pick random letters or random patterns, and then now those patterns will have related patterns that are valid. And then I build this table out, and then from there I could say, okay, you can put these patterns here, 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 and then you sort of clean it up from there. I'm not going to use anything complicated like a maze generator or something like that. I still can't draw an enemy anywhere. All right. Let's do this a different way. I think I'm gonna revert this code, get status, and we're gonna reapproach this a different way. Once it lets me type again. Why can't I type? What happened to my console here? Oh, here we go. Wait, what? Clear. Git reset hard? Sure. How could this not break everything? Yeah, that was a stupid idea for me to do. Let me exit this. Don't save. And let's try this again. Oh, what happened? I lost my connection. CD, NAS, wait, no. SSH, NAS at studio, NAS.local. And now we just need to, whoops, wrong password. And now we CD volume. Volumes, workspace, Jesse, projects, GB Studio, Reaper Boy, Meta, clear, git reset hard. All right, now let's go back and try this again. I'm actually gonna minimize this and open this. All right, so I want to make sure that this still builds before we go back in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tell it that I'm going to tell it that I want you to be able to draw an enemy anywhere there's an open sky tile that's not a platform. So on even platforms, you'll be able to draw an enemy. And then once I get it to at least draw the enemy, and get that logic working, then I will start adding constraints to it, because I think it just gets really confused when I tell it to do too much, which is such a problem, because I'm like, my brain's like, okay, this is all one task to me, but it really needs everything broken up into really small tasks. That's also not a good sign. That shouldn't be happening, but we'll come back to that later. All right, so... Okay, I see what happened. I was like, where's that number 3 coming from? But that 3 is here. So, okay. So we can draw tiles. Let me just make sure that the last one gives us a number of 20. Perfect. All right, we're good to go. All right. We're gonna create a new chat. I want to add the ability to paint enemies to the tile map. Enemies can only be drawn above a platform. I need you to I need you to add this functionality in without breaking any existing functionality. All right, let's just see if we can get it to help me paint an enemy. There's also some other logic I need to go back through and try to figure out. I'm not going to save this and let it do its thing. So we got to head home. Good luck, platformer. Nice, yeah. I'm hoping to have it launched. I think by the end of the month is probably a little aggressive. I would like to do it by the end of the month, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to that. Well, no, we still have an extra week, I guess. Still, yeah, we probably after 4th of July. I need to do it before I head out to California. But have a good day. Thanks for joining the stream. All right, so I'm hoping now we can get this going. There's one other thing I wanted to check, and while it's doing its thing here, I have some logic for when I'm drawing. And let me see here: script, paint tile, move cursor. So when we move the cursor, it's supposed to be returning a value. There should be a switch around here somewhere. Trying to see where I added that. Oh, I added it down here, right. So every time we move the cursor, it's supposed to update it. So what we wanted to do is, I want to figure out, once it should return a ID. What are we calling? VB get brush tile at position. Okay. While it's figuring that out, I also want to make sure if I go into sprites and I go to my selector, right, we have an enemy left and an enemy right. Perfect. I'm just going to preemptively tell it what I want it to do. And I want you to return either a, let's see, 1 is the lead, 2 should be the player. We'll do 2 and 3. A 2 for enemy right. Or a 3 for enemy left in the get brush tile at position. All right. Now, I don't think it's going to be smart. Well, it doesn't really matter if it's smart enough to do it. It's just not going to understand it. So let me see here. 1. So for 2, let's do, get out of this. Let's copy this event and we'll just paste it in here. paste event or paste event after, move it to here, and we're going to set the A selector to enemy right. We'll copy this event and we'll paste it after. We'll move this down and we're going to make this enemy left. And then play this for here would be, let's see, platform right. What did I have here? Enemy left. This builds the new platform. We'll make 5. I'll just paste this here. Paste after event. We're going to just make this the player. All right, so it has made these changes. Let's see if it actually works. That is a negative, Ghost Rider. Negative. But I have a feeling it just added a character in a weird place, like it said before. We'll give it this error and see if it can figure out this error. And let me just paste this back in here so I don't lose it. Now I need to add an initialization function to properly initialize this arrays. I can see the issue. The 2D array initialization syntax 0 doesn't work properly because of the compiler. Needs to initialize these always. I think if I do build another Game Boy game, I might wind up just doing it with GBDK and maybe skipping GB Studio. I don't know, or using it just for some parts. Maybe this is the graphics parts. I don't know what the workflow. I don't know what the workflow is for graphics when using GBDK, which is sort of it's a C compiler for Game Boy, and that's that's actually what's going on under the hood of GB Studio. That's what it uses to run. All right. There's 2 other things I need to keep track of. I also need to make sure, let me do this. I need you to make sure that the pattern matching ignores any tiles other than the left, middle, right platform, so it's not confused by enemies. It's interesting that it's done this stuff. So I didn't ask it to add any of these things. I wonder what all these functions are doing. It's just like going to town on my code. All right. Let's run this and see if it works. Come on. There we go. Now let's see if we can paint. I still can't paint an enemy. All right. Let's start doing this stuff. I still can't paint enemies. I want you to return either a 2 for the enemy right or a 3 for enemy left in the get brush at position function, so I can see a preview of where an enemy should go. Use the brush constants. Brush tile enemy R and L. And let's just put this back in here so we can keep track of it for the next round of updates, assuming we can fix this. I should have specified that it only needs to do this on, well, oh, let's see, let's let it figure it out. All this stuff is bad. None of this stuff should actually, I don't even know if this stuff is actually linked to, what is this, in CodeGen? I don't know if these are actually linked to real, get enemy data and chunk. I don't need any of this stuff. This is a problem. I think this has gone off the rails, and I guess I wasn't specific enough on what I wanted to do. Let's see if we can get it to give us the paint preview correctly, and then I can always go back in and tell it to fix this paint logic. It's weird. It's telling me, it's giving me a lot of errors right now that it can't save files. Yeah, I think I might have to start this over again, which is fine. We can do it one more time. I think each one of these is sort of a learning experience. This is why we version control our code. All right, let's see here. Let's keep this. Let's build it. I have a feeling this is not going to compile. I don't think actually all of its changes got saved. Oh, all right. Let's see. This is garbage. Like, why isn't anything... Yeah, I don't know what is going on here. All right. And I don't even know if I get, hold on, let me, do, I don't know what death, what was the death sprite? That was weird. What is it? A selector. There is no death animation. I'm just gonna make it do. I'm gonna make it return the player if it doesn't get a result. We'll just start debugging it this way. All right. So we're placing this here, and it's showing, it's returning something. I just don't know what value it's returning. So let's do this the old-fashioned way. We are going to look at this here, and we're going to set a breakpoint here, and we're going to look at this V. Actually, we don't even need to do it that way. We can just look at V tile map ID. It's a global variable. So we'll look in the debugger and we'll track that as we move around, and we'll see what ID it's actually returning to us. Like, this is the part of the stream where like my brain starts shutting down. It's like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. Most of it just gets warm in this room and I've been sitting for too long. But we want to make this work. So, all right. We place a platform down. It returns 1 because that is delete. Here it's returning 0. And I'm not sure why it's returning 0. And if I come back up here and I look in this switch, I don't even have a 0. All right, let's when, oh, you know what we need to double check is this. The get brush function is only returning 0 instead of 2 for the enemy. Let's do this. What I wanted to see was, where's the debugger? So weird that it won't let me do this. You go back over the code and find what is causing the problem. At this point, to make things simple, I want you to show me the preview ID for the enemy in any open sky tile on the even rows. All right. Yeah, so this is going to take a little, excuse me. This is going to take a little bit of like just trial and error, because I spent the majority of the time just trying to get the level code drawing correctly. And instead adding in this now on top of it is just asking for trouble. I don't know how clean the code was. Where's my paint C? Let's see what it's doing. All right, it was calling the wrong function apparently. All right. Well, now it's not returning the platform code. Let me see if me just giving it this generic barking an order at it actually does something. You're absolutely right. I broke the platform preview functionality. No shit. Like, why would you make it not return both of those? Sure, let's see what it does now. All right, so it's still not doing what I asked it to do. No. No, 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 no. Brush type constants. I think I screwed this up because I have two different variations of it. I think what should happen is that one should be delete. I hate all this. I actually think I'm going to reset this all again because I don't think it's getting what I want, and I think I need to. Let's save this. All right, don't save. Writing to disk. Why is it taking so long to write to the disk? And here I'm going to delete this stuff. There we go. Okay. Git reset hard. Ugh, I've lost my... No, I'm in there. All right, good. Clear. Okay. Let's try this for a third time. But we're going to try it a lot slower so that it can figure it out. It's funny. It was able to get the pattern stuff easily, but it like struggles with... Oh, shit. This isn't good. Oh, there we go. Why is this taking so long to load from my server? There we go. That was weird. Okay. Let's try this again. We're going to create a new thing, and we're going to come here. And we're going to set the move cursor switch here. And let's do this. So for one, we're going to set it to delete. Let's copy this. And so I rename. Oh, actually, I want to rename this if I'm copying this around. Change to delete. Let's copy this event, paste this event after, and then move it here. We'll rename it. Enemy right. We'll make this enemy right. Copy event, paste event after. And we'll make this enemy left. Rename enemy left. Then we're going to create a new platform. We have platform left. We have platform right. So this is returning 6 and 7. Platform, we'll do this is going to be Let's paste an event after. 5 is going to be the player. Rename. Rename. All right. So I'm going to save this, and why don't we do something else real quick? I want to, I actually want to extend this so that we can go up to here. You know what? Maybe 11 is fine. I'm just trying to see where I want to draw the player. I'm going to start with the player first, because that one's a lot easier to deal with than the enemy. And then once the enemy works, then we can figure out how to fix that. All right, it's taking its time to compile. While it does this, I'm actually going to switch back to standing, so I will be right back. All right. Let's close that. And stop the music because it seems to garble every time I switch between scenes for no apparent reason. All right, what I wanted to see was it's funny, I lost those numbers that I was using for the tiles, and I don't know why how I lost them. I guess it didn't get saved, but that's fine. I think what we're going to do is so on this row here, we'll put the player, and then on the row below, we'll put the platform. So, okay, so let's do it this way. This is here. This is platform 11. All right. I want to preview where I can paint the player. The player can only be painted on row 11. So what we should do is when the cursor is over a sky tile on row 11, it should return. Now, the real question is, if I go back to paint, that's paint H, I need paint C. There was the function of get brush tile state. We wanted to return it should return selector state player delete for this is actually here. This is nothing. Player left. There was no player center, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Selector state player 5, selector state platform left. Okay, so we wanted to return, should return a player meta tile, which is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It should return default 0. When the cursor is over this kind of in VM get brush position. Cool. All right, let's have it run this. I'm gonna stop my stream, I don't know, by like 20 minutes or so. So I really just wanted to have one extra victory right now, which is just the player. I'm gonna be hacking away at this later today. I really do need to get this tile map thing done. I keep saying that I'm like working days on it, but I really am working only a couple hours a day, so I should cut myself a little bit more slack that it's only day 11, when really if I'm only doing this for 3-4 hours a day, it's not like I'm getting full days in. All right, let's keep these changes. Let's run this. And let's see if this works. So, okay. So we now have the player here, and we can create tiles there. So now what I want to do is get it to where, oh, you know what we should do? We should make it where you can only draw the player if they are above a platform. All right, so now I want you to add a rule to only return selector state player if there is a platform anywhere below it on the same column. The player can only be created above a right. I think so. I'm starting to piece it together on the fly. What I'm thinking is that we're going to get this to where it just shows these selectors in the right states, and then we can have it painted. The painting part's pretty easy, but what we want to do now is we just want to make sure that every time we go to draw a player, that the player is above a platform, which means in the inverse, we're going to need to now, whenever we delete a platform, I'm going to write myself a note on that one. Remove player with no platform. Need to remove the player on row 11 if the platform they are above is deleted. The player tile can only exist if a platform is below it. Make this an enhancement and do this. All right, let's keep this. And now let's play. All right, so here we go. We can only draw the player now when they are above a tile or a platform. So if we draw a platform here, we can draw the player. All right, that works out really well. I'm going to get status. Let me actually save the changes here. Git add all, git commit added in player preview. Okay. I think what I want to do now is, let's just see if we can paint the player. Now, when the user paints a tile, now I want you to add a player tile to the map if it's a valid position. Meaning row 11 and on the same column as one platform. Basically, the same rules we are using for the get brush tile state. The last thing is that if another player tile exists on row 11, it needs to be cleared. So there can only be one player on row 11 above a tile. Add check for player. Can't save level if no player is found. This ties into the player / platform check when form check when editing the platform. And then we'll just do this next thing. Yeah, let's see if we can just implement this real quick. This one's a lot easier than the other stuff. We'll need to do some checks though for the, we'll have to do some checks for the exit. Yeah, I did not like that idea. Move exit to player position in editor. You may be able to use the exit sprite for the exit instead of dealing with writing tiles to the background. So when a player over platform check is done, it should move the exit sprite. The only issue is that we'll need to pass that into the editor. So it may be easier to just repaint the background. All right. Basically, I just was trying to come up with like what's the easiest way to put the exit wherever the player intersects a platform. But I also realized that I have no way of passing that in. One thing I might be able to do that could simplify this a lot is I might be able to just register the actors with the tile map editor, and then this way whenever it reloads, or then after that the C code could do everything it needs to do without having any references to the players anymore. We might actually do that. That is a good idea. Register actors with tile map. Let's just see if this works real quick. All right. All right, that is working. The only problem is lost the preview of the player. Can you confirm that? Can you confirm that get brush tile position is returning where's the oh, here, selector state player. So register actors with tile map. Basically, the editor should have a reference to all the actors. So instead of painting background tiles, it could move the real actors, and we don't have to reload the level or clear the tile backgrounds. This would also allow us to not need to pass in all the actors when rebuilding the level, and manage all of this in C instead of GB Studio events. All right, let's see if this fixed this now. I actually like this idea a lot. I think this is what I'm going to do next. Is I'm going to basically pass in all of the references, and I think what I'll do is I'll have it just position these actors and things where they should go. Why am I not getting... I am still not getting the player preview value. I can paint the player to the screen, to the tile map correctly, so it should always return player state when that is possible. All right, I think for right now, I'm going to start wrapping up this stream. I think we've made some good progress. We've refactored the map. We've condensed the code. We've shrank the area where where I have to do the pattern matching. I think, and then, oops, I'm doing the wrong thing. Let's do this. And we've added in this ability now to only draw platforms on odd rows. We can preview them correctly, and we just need to fix this preview now for the player, and then that would actually make this a lot better. I'll run this real quick. Let's see if this works, and then maybe we can end this stream on a high note. Still not doing it, huh? What is going on here? Wait, let's do it this way. I just need to go, I'm going to use the debugger and look at what is getting called. All right, so first off, it's only returning 8. It's only returning ID 8 on row 11, and I'm not seeing any change that would indicate the player ID is changing when over a platform. Can we tie the logic for painting the player to the preview brush instead, so the brush is the source of truth and handles figuring out what tile it should actually paint. All right, I'm gonna end this. I should be back tomorrow. I think I could do tomorrow morning. And hopefully by then I'll have the fully working tile map editor, and then it's just polish, polish, polish. So thanks for joining, and I will see you tomorrow.